Next speaker is Communist Party, Great Britain of Marxist-Leninists. With the Commune, Venezuela is giving lesson in democracy to the West. Despite relentless attempts by the United States to asphyxiate the Bolivarian revolution and get its hands on Venezuela's abundant resources, the hearts of the country still beat strong thanks to the communes. These popular self-management bodies, based on the idea of grassroots power, unite the people in local communities where they govern themselves and manage their own problems. The call for Comuna or Nada, launched in 2012 by President Chavez shortly before his death, was heard by all. And since then, more than 4,000 communes have been founded across the country. The Western bourgeoisie like to describe their political system as the most democratic in the world, because every 4 or 5 years, their population are allowed to vote for a new leader and government. They present these alternative forms of governance between the two official parties of the bourgeoisie, represented in Britain by the Conservative Party and the Labour Party, as the pinnacle of democracy. Today, the majority of the population in imperialist countries is coming to understand that the electoral process is a farce designed to pacify them. The outcome of election is always the same: the victory of capital. Voters' turnout in the last general election in the United Kingdom was 59.7%, one of the lowest since 1918. Even according to the rigged bourgeois polling companies, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has a popularity rating of 22% among the British population. No sooner had it been elected that he and his Labour government, following the step already taken by the previous Conservative government, began ruthlessly cracking down on the anti-genocide, pro-Palestinian popular movement in Britain. Since October 7, 2023, hundreds of thousands of people have been marching every month in the streets of London and in cities up and down the country to demand an end to their government military, political and economic support for the genocidal state of Israel. These protesters, who numbers in the millions, are constantly labeled as terrorists and branded unpatriotic by the media and the government. And orders are given to the police to arrest, persecute any of them who can be singled out for such special treatment. In particular, those who might dare to bring to the demonstrator any real understanding of the true essence and role of Zionism as a racist and supremacist tool of imperialist domination in the Middle East. Journalists, political activists, academics, doctors, and others who have used social media or other means to spread awareness of the Israel crimes in Gaza and to oppose the connection between the British political establishment and the imperialist-funded Zionist lobbying machine have been persecuted relentlessly. Many have been sacked by their employers, disciplined and disbarred by their professional bodies, arrested by police and detained while crossing borders. They have had their house searched, their computer and phone taken, and their activity and connection investigated under sweeping anti-terrorist laws. In recent months, Palestine Action, a direct action group that targets companies operating in Britain that are working to supply the Israeli war machine, was banned and designated as a terrorist organization. It is under this atmosphere of growing repression that the people of the world's first bourgeois democracy now live. Yet, according to the BBC and other bourgeois propaganda channels in Britain, it is not the UK but Venezuela that is one of the worst dictatorships in the world. President Nicolás Maduro, and not the economic sanction imposed by the United States and its democratic allies, is alleged to be solely responsible for all the ills afflicting Venezuelan society. But according to French journalist Maurice Lemoine, the truth, quote, "The truth is that before the Bolivarian Revolution, the Venezuelan people lived in abject poverty, with no access to education, medical care, or even identity cards. For the state, the population did not exist. It was in 1999 that the Bolivarian Revolution began to focus on the priorities of the people, bringing literacy programs and health brigades to rural areas, as well as electricity, drinking water, and housing. In addition to these considerable advances, Chavez created the famous Communal Council, through which he repoliticized the people. Thanks to this process, workers, farmers, students, grandparents, neighbors, and others are beginning to collectively establish themselves as a new subject. Inspired by the historical example of the Paris Commune and the Russian Revolution, the Venezuelan people are throwing themselves heart and soul into this new democratic project where everyone's voice finally counts. In the ramshackle barrios and deprived countryside, numerous Bolivarian circles, urban lands, committees, health committees, technical committees on water and electricity, neighborhood associations, cooperatives, and collectivos are springing up, creating a dynamic process of participation that allowed each community to discuss its problems and bring them to the attention of the authorities. Entire battalions of women are involved in the vast movement. Since the advance of the revolution, their political participation has changed completely. It has grown over time. As we can see, a truly democratic process is taking place in Venezuela, a socialist model based on economic and political control by the people. This process is reinforced year after year by the encouragement and full support of the national government. After a national consultation in 2024, which gathered more than 36,000 local community projects, new central objectives named the 70 were announced. The 70 is the plan for a new era of transition to socialism, a new era that involves the speed and deepening of transformation simultaneously, harmoniously on all fronts of work, battle, and construction in our country within the framework of geopolitical development, said President Maduro. We can see that imperialism in crisis is ever closer toward outright fascism and repression in its heartland, while sovereign Venezuela is moving ever closer to a genuinely mass participatory socialist democracy as the only way to truly emancipate its people from the double misery of class exploitation and imperialist domination. This process of reorienting Venezuela towards socialism has been a slow one. It has not taken place in the same way and with the same speed as the Paris Commune of 1871 or the 1917 October Revolution in Russia. Many problems still remain to be solved, in particular the ownerships of banks, factory, land, media, and other large enterprises, many of which are still in the hand of an hostile exploiting class that is ever ready to collaborate with the imperialists in trying to bring down the Bolivarian government and destroy the Chavista movement. Nevertheless, over the last 25 years, we have seen a certain key shift in state power that are enabling genuine participation by the working masses in government and which together continue to prevent the socialists being ousted from power. In particular, we have seen the remodeling of the army into a genuinely patriotic force and the mobilization of large number of the people into revolutionary national militias, a key first step that was highlighted by Karl Marx in regard to the Paris Commune of 1871. Paris could resist only because it had got rid of the army and replaced it by a national guard, the bulk of which consisted of working men. This fact was now to be transformed into an institution The first decree of the Commune, therefore, was the suppression of the bourgeois standing army and the substitution for it of the armed people. And further, the Commune was formed of a municipal councillor chosen by universal suffrage in the various wards of the town, responsible and revocable at short term. The majority of its members were naturally working men or acknowledged representative of the working class. The Commune was to be a working, not a parliamentary body, executive and legislative at the same time. Instead of continuing to be the agent of the central government, the police was at once stripped of its political attributes and turned into the responsible of at all time revocable agent of the Commune. So were the official of all other branches of the administration. From the members of the Commune downward, the public service has to be done at workman's wage. The vested interest and the representation allowance of the high dignitaries of states disappear along with the high dignitaries themselves. Public functions cease to be the private property of the tool of the central government, not only municipal administration, but the whole initiative, veto, exercised by the state was laid into the hand of the Commune. This was a quote from Marx's Civil War in France, 1871. This is the direction in which the Venezuelan state and government are moving. The closer they get to this model, the harder it will be for the enemy to dislodge the working people from power. As Minister of Communes, Angel Prado rightly says, the Commune is the only way to build a new society, transition to socialism as Comandante Chavez wanted, and transform the state so that it ceases to be liberal bourgeois. And as Frederick Engels wrote in 1891, looking back on the lesson of the Commune, quote, "From the outset, the Commune was compelled to recognize that the working class, once come to power, could not manage with the old state machine, that in order not to lose again, it only just conquer supremacy. This working class must, on the one hand, do away with all the old repressive machinery previously used against itself, and in the other, safeguard itself against its own deputies and officials by declaring them, without exception, subject to recall at any moment." Thank you very much.